All right, well, joining me now in the studio to discuss the wider issues is global affairs analyst Marco Vicenzino. What more do we know about the attack and who might be responsible?
In terms of the claim, no one's claimed credit for it, but it's widely to be jihadists. Same mindset of those from the 90s who were attacking tourist sites, but obviously today it's a different era, and many of them now claim more of an allegiance to ISIS, although they tend to be local Egyptians. In this case, last week there was an attack on Giza, which is the leading site in Egypt, which claimed 2 police officers were shot dead. Today's was the second most important site in Egypt, Luxor, or near Luxor. In this case, it appears to be, once again, it's targeted, wasn't to get the tourists, but it was able to be foiled. It was one suicide bomber, another one shot dead, and the other one was actually injured. Once again, no tourists injured as of yet. And also there's the issue of timing. I mean, first and foremost, the targets are the economy and the government. So they're looking at assassinating and targeting government officials. Secondly, the tourism is a hard currency earner. It's essential for the Egyptian economy. And then also another thing is that you have at this time, in today's attack, there's actually a Pan-African Trade Summit in Egypt, specifically in Sharm el-Sheikh, which the president is attending together with the president of the World Bank. So this timing is also critical. They're trying to show that they can strike anywhere they want, whenever they want.
And also, I guess, destabilizing the authorities. The country really has been in turmoil, hasn't it, since the overthrow of the former President Mohamed Morsi?
The turmoil, I would say, actually began with the uprising in January of 2011. During the overthrow, of Mubarak. During the next 2 years, the nature of the turmoil was different. It was political turmoil, groups attacking each other, political instability, economic instability, but it was more within the context of a political transition or struggling to transition politically. When you have the overthrow of Morsi in July of 2013, the nature of the violence changes. You have more targeted assassinations. So in other words, once you have the overthrow of Morsi, you have the Muslim Brotherhood, many of them more radical elements gone on the ground, and that's when begins a wave of targeted assassinations against police, soldiers, and a full-scale conflict in the Sinai itself. So that's when the turmoil it goes over a period of time.
Because initially there was jubilation, wasn't there? With the overthrow of Mubarak,
sure,
there seemed to be this very positive move towards a democracy, coming away from the dictatorship years, and that seems to have now
and the accompanying turmoil in that was more related to political transition, you see. But now you'd say now it's a full-scale conflict in the Sinai Peninsula, but throughout Egypt itself in the major cities you have the targeted assassination of police, security officials, and also judges. So it's the nature of the violence that changes.
Really, isn't it? I mean, is Egypt in danger of becoming like Libya?
Completely 2 separate cases, whereby in Libya you have complete chaos, 2 separate governments claiming to control the country, who are right now, as we speak, are negotiating in Rabat in Morocco on the UN auspices. The envoy, Benito de Leon, recently said that it appears that there's going to be a signing between both sides. But before that signing gets done, there's still a lot of violence in the country. ISIS-related elements, or at least the local jihadists who claim allegiance to ISIS. And then you have that massive migration crisis of thousands every day being picked up off the shores of southern Italy, taking off all from the western side of Libya. While in Egypt, it's completely different. You have a firm government in control, internationally recognized. It has it's getting aid from the Gulf states, military aid from the U.S., the cooperation of Israel within the conflict in the Sinai. So, Sisi, at this point, it's the strongest that he's been since he came to power at this very moment.
And presumably they will want to protect the interests of foreign investment and tourism, which obviously dipped following in the late 90s when we saw those attacks. It has been recovering steadily. Do you think that these sorts of attacks can't help, though?
In 1997, when the biggest attack took place, 58 foreign tourists were killed, together with 4 Egyptians. It took years for Egypt to recover in its tourism industry, and it took years for Mubarak to fight that jihadist element. This time around, tourism was down between the time of Mubarak's ouster up to the time of Morsi's overthrow. It started picking up in the past 18 months. But with these attacks taking place, the one that the killing last week in Giza last week and Luxor this week, although no tourists have been claimed, is likely to discourage. To what point, it needs to be seen. But if they actually start killing tourists, obviously there'll be a drop. To what extent, one doesn't really know yet.
But as far as you understand, that the focus, the targets aren't necessarily tourism. The target is more the state.
A combination of the two. The state, for obvious reasons, because it's the police, the security apparatus, judges, but also tourism, because tourism is that hard currency earner. It's been an essential source of currency for Egypt for over the years. And by attacking and striking the tourism industry, you're trying to derail the entire economy.
Okay, Marco, thanks a lot for coming in. Marco Vicenzino there, our global affairs analyst. Thanks for your thoughts.
Thank you.